friends, welcome to my pantry tour. If you are new here, my name is Amy and I live in central Victoria, Australia, and we try to grow as much food as we can on this 42 acres we have. Now I'm currently doing the Three Rivers Homestead Challenge, which is to work through the pantry in January and February. Now, because we're in summer, we've already worked through our canned goods quite well through winter and spring. So I don't have as much in my pantry as I normally would. But my aim for this challenge is to work through the freezer. So I have a deep freezer full of food, and my freezer in the house as well is quite stocked up. And I need to make space for the upcoming harvest season. I have got a few items still left in my pantry processed from our homegrown fruit and vegetables. And I have some items that have been in my pantry for quite some time that I'd like to use up. So I'm going to need to get a bit inventive because some of these items aren't things that we generally eat, and that's why it's still in our pantry. So let's head over to my pantry to take a look. Okay, here is our pantry and food store. It is in the hallway of our house and it stays very cool in this hallway, thankfully in summertime. So here is everything and let's go through it all one by one. All right, first up we have these wonderful tubs down here. So these tubs hold all of our bulk food items. So we've got flour here. So unfortunately this potato starch came in individual bags, but we've got potato starch in there and we've got maize flour in this one. Then up here we have tapioca starch. So this is very heavy. I'm not going to be able to take out all of these ones up here. Oh, we've got potatoes. So I've got potatoes in here. Then we have another flour one. This is an array of different flours in here. So gluten-free mixes. I've got arrowroot flour in here as well. Coconut flour. And I've got sesame seeds in here too, which probably isn't the right space for it, but it does go with the bread that I make. And I've got semolina. I'm not sure what I purchased this for, but this is something that I would like to work through this pantry challenge. So if you have any tips on how to use this, I will probably look up some recipes, but yeah, I need to use that. And then I did purchase these puffed brown rice to make some like slices or muesli bar type things. So I haven't done them yet. So that is something else I'd like to do, this pantry challenge. So I'll sit that on the top there to remind me. I've got nuts in this one. So we're running low on some nuts at the moment. They're hazelnuts. And then up here we have almonds. So almonds go in their own one because we buy a lot more almonds than the other nuts. And then in here we have pecans and walnuts. So we don't have, oh, we have Brazil nuts in there as well, but I don't have any cashews at the moment, which we are missing, but we will work through these nuts first and then we can get another lot soon. And these two containers, I'm not going to drag them out because they're quite heavy because we just got another lot of sultanas. So there's organic sultanas in here and organic currants in here. Then we have 2 containers of oats because we get a lot of oats because we go through them quite frequently. So we've got 2 containers of oats there. And then up here, these are going to be very heavy. Maybe not so heavy, but we've got pumpkin seeds in one and sunflower seeds in the other. Okay, next we have rice. Now, this normally holds our brown rice, but I will show you where I decant my rice and other dried stuff in the kitchen soon, but yeah, we've run out of brown rice in our bulk store, so we need to get some more rice. And then I've got this sushi rice, which it's a new one to us. We don't normally buy sushi rice or any other white rice. We just make everything generally with brown rice, but my kids started making sushi a lot, and so we decided to get some. It's actually turned out to be quite good at making risottos as well, so that's there. What's in this one? This one is not marked. Now, many years ago, we got a massive bag of shredded coconut. And my son has processed the shredded coconut in our Thermomix and made it into a finer coconut. So I can use it a lot now, which is good, but we still have a huge amount of it. So I'm trying to use it up. As you can probably tell, I've been using it in my smoothies instead of using any milks. So what I'm doing is putting the coconut in and some water, and that's sort of making its own milk in the smoothie. We've got chickpeas. That's quite heavy. We love our chickpeas. Right, next we have buckwheat. So I make a gluten-free bread, and I mill the buckwheat to make the bread. It also has brown rice in it, and that's why we've run out of brown rice, because I mill the brown rice as well. I will put a link in this video to my gluten-free bread recipe, because I've made a video for that. And then we have lentils. So these are the brown lentils. And up here we have millet. So I love using millet as an alternative to rice. Unfortunately, we normally get it in big bags, or sometimes it comes in fabric bags, which is very exciting. But we've got them in 1 kilo bags this time round. And then we've got an odds box, which probably has a lot of things in here that I need to use up. So let's get this box down and have a little look. Okay, we have another bag of lentils that I should probably use these lentils first before working into the other store. And then I have quinoa. So this is something we use a lot of, and this bag was recently purchased. I've actually got the coconut shredded in the container that we normally keep our quinoa. Is this another bag of lentils? Goodness me. And then we have one bag left of mung beans. I believe mung beans are really good to have in summer. They're cooling, whereas lentils, I believe, are more of a winter legume, and they're warming. So if you have any mung bean recipes, let me know. We like to sprout the mung beans, so I might do some sprouting later today. Okay, down in this little corner, we have an empty honey container, which I have to give back to our honey guy. I also probably need to clean it, yes. So that's waiting for him. I've got a stack of containers that I purchased because I've been making some meals for some families who need some help. So I wanted it to be easy for them. They can either give them back to me, that's fine, but I wanted it to be easy that they didn't have to get it back to me if they didn't want to. I've got my bulk sort of washing and baking items here. So I've got Epsom salt, citric acid, and bicarbonate of soda. I've also got bentonite clay and magnesium chloride flakes. And everything's fallen down here, but behind there I have a tub of the cement type stuff to fix the wood fire with. Okay, and here is our cat food. So we've got cat foods in here. All right, and now up onto the next shelf. This is our recycling bay. So this is where we can put all the bits and pieces that need to be processed in a different way. So all the aluminium foil, that needs to be rolled up into a ball larger than the size of a golf ball, and then it can be recycled. Everything, if you put this into the recycling, into the metal recycling or into your normal curbside recycling bin, it won't be recycled. It'll be lost in the process. So you need to roll it up into a ball. So we just keep all of it in that tub there, waiting for enough to make a big ball. And then we have, what do you call them? The contact containers. They can be recycled with Banish. I'll put the description below. Lots of things can be recycled at Banish. So toothpaste tubes and these blister packs can also be recycled at Banish. So we just collect up everything into its different tubs, and when there's enough, we send it away to be processed. All right, these containers here, they have all of my canning things. So I've got all my canning lids in one, and then the clips are in this one here, and what's in that one? Oh, that's just got some camping cups in there. So this is a little bit of storage as well as food storage. I've got Ziploc bags in this one. So once I've washed the Ziploc bags, I pop them into this container to be reused for freezing food. And I've got my calcium powder to do the water bathing with the eggs in this one. And over here, as you can see, this says tea. We have all of our different loose leaf tea in this section here. So I've got lots of different loose leaf teas. These are all purchased teas. So I've got some nettle in there. Before I started growing nettle, I've still got a little bit left. We've got rooibos. So that one's supposed to be in one of these containers here, but it's just sitting on top. Perhaps one of the kids filled up the rooibos jar in the kitchen and hasn't quite put it back where it needs to go. But that is all of the bulk items. That's what's in our big tubs. So yeah, these work really well so far. Fingers crossed that I'm not jinxing myself here, but so far we haven't had any moths or anything get into these containers. They have been wonderful. They're food safe, and I will put in the description where we purchased these. But as you can see here, my husband is very, very smart, and he designed this whole cabinet to fit these perfectly. So they fit perfectly with enough gap in between to easily take them out. He has done a great job here. Okay, I get my trusty stepladder out to reach the top shelves. So we might work our way from the top to the bottom of these shelves with the food on them. Okay, so what have we got up here? Actually, we've got a few things that are in the wrong spot. So that's actually supposed to be in with the drinks, and so is this, and so is this. You are seeing my pantry without me touching it or cleaning it up. So you're seeing it as it is right now in the height of summer. Yeah, let's work through this. Okay, we have this gluten-free pasta. I'm going to immediately throw this down on the ground because this gluten-free pasta is terrible. You can cook it for ages and ages and it still is tough as anything. So I recommend not purchasing this gluten-free pasta. I am going to try and attempt to maybe soak it for a long time and then feed it to the chickens. Okay, so even though these are in the wrong spot, I've got some coconut water. Now this is great for electrolytes. I know you've probably seen, but my husband likes to have this stuff instead. But I prefer to have this. So I've got that there. I've got some aloe vera juice too. And I've got this aloe vera because when we first moved to our property, I brought our beautiful aloe vera plants up, not knowing that we have very, very heavy frosts here. And of course, it immediately died. I have now purchased 2 plants from a really cute kid at our homeschool market. And I'm really excited to have my own. But I have this here. I have not opened it yet, but I have it here because, so I got it for a particular thing that I've been doing health-wise. It is great with an upset stomach or feeling sick. So I had it just in case I was going to feel sick with the health things that I've been doing, but so far I haven't needed to crack it open. But it is really good apparently for your digestive system. So yeah, I've got that there. And then we've got this bottle of cordial from a friend who brought it around. I think they had some in Croatia when they went over there. So they saw it in a store here and they got it for us. So that should really be with all the cordials over here. All right, what else have we got? We've got some spaghetti pasta that's already been opened. Or maybe that's fettuccine actually. It's a bit flatter. So we've got lots of noodles and pastas. We've got some gluten pastas and we've got some gluten-free pastas. More gluten-free pastas here and some gluten ones over there. We also have these 2 containers here, which we don't generally buy into. I think I'm almost at the point where I'm just going to give these to the chickens because it was a COVID thing. We decided to spice up the breakfasts and this one hasn't even been opened. This cornflakes, I think it is. Yeah. We're not into processed things like this, but yeah, as you can see, the Weet-Bix was opened, but it's not being finished. So I'm very tempted to take them right now and get rid of them. But I will speak to the family and see. Maybe there's a recipe that kids might want to make the cornflakes into or something. If you have any suggestions on what to do with these 2 cereals so that they're consumed, I don't mind that they consume them for the very, few days that they will be. But I do prefer not to have these sorts of foods on the shelf. So that is generally our pasta and noodles shelf. And then we've got some baking things. So this is sort of our baking shelf with the added bits and pieces of other things. So we've got Tabasco sauce. My kids love to, and their friends love to pop Tabasco sauce on when they're visiting. And back here we've got some decaf coffee, which my husband drinks, but he hasn't had it for a long time. And I've got 3 jars back there that aren't being used. We've got an organic chai tea, which I purchased just in case I wasn't up to making chai tea from scratch, but I haven't opened it yet, but it's there just in case. Then I have these 2 teas here, which were given to me by my brother and his partner, and I haven't opened them yet. I did drink through one of the other teas, but because I don't have caffeine tea, I think these are caffeine ones. So yeah, I will probably open them up and have them for guests to work through when they're here. All right, then we have maple syrups. So we've got quite a few maple syrups back here. We've got a golden syrup, which was purchased to make gingerbread for Christmas. We've got some muffin wrappers. And we've got citric acid, which I don't really need now that I've got the bulk citric acid down on the floor, down over yonder. But I've got those there. Then we have some rice syrup, which I really need to just use the rest of. I don't really like it, so I need to use it in some baking, I think. I got some glucose syrup and I cannot remember why I got it. I don't know. And then we've got some mustard back here. So we've got Australian mustard. Got 4 of those. Got some vanilla sugar that I made up. So this is sort of the sweets and sugar sort of section, sort of. It's a little bit mumble jumbled, this shelf and another shelf. I've got loads and loads of black pepper because I use it, well, we use it every day, but I also use it in my chai tea that I make. And then we've got different salts over here, which different members of the family have purchased. And I would like to buy salt in bulk next time, so I'm not buying them all in these separate bags, all these tiny bags. All right, and then we have some spices here. So these are the extra spices. This ginger here, I actually milled myself from some dried ginger. So I'm just reusing the container. And then we've got some curry paste, cardamom, ground cardamom, mixed spice, nutmeg. Got some basil because I completely ran out of basil and oregano and thyme in spring, and winter too. I think we worked through the basil over winter, so I purchased some for when we make pizzas and stuff. But now I've got basil growing in the garden. It's very exciting. I'm hoping to have enough to take us through to the next summer. I've got fennel seeds, which I also don't need to purchase anymore because I have a heap of them. I will show you in a moment where I keep my homegrown herbs. I've got allspice, so I just reuse these containers and I do fill up at our bulk store that we have in Castlemaine. Cayenne pepper, ground cloves. So I got these cloves in bulk actually because I was putting cloves in my chai tea and I purchased a bag of them and then I've ground up some. Got allspice as well and another cloves, ground cloves. I've actually got a lot of allspice there, so I need to work through some of the spices. As you can see, we have an array of tunas here. So my husband and my son like to have tuna for lunches, and the girls and myself, we occasionally have the sweet chili one, and they have this one here, the tuna with chili. And then I've got anchovies, 2 jars of anchovies. I've got 2 jars of pink salmon. We've got a different brand tuna, which I think came along with my mother-in-law one time for lunch and no one's used it yet. And then same with these, I believe they came with her as well. So it would be good to use these or else I'll probably hand them back to her. Back here I have vegetable stock powder. So I do make a fresh vegetable stock paste, but when I don't have that, I rely on this vegetable stock powder for stock. And then I purchased this satay season once upon a time, and I've finally opened it, and I'm slowly using it. So it is basically just all these spices and black pepper ground up together. And then I've got some nutritional yeast, what we have left of it. I don't think there's very much left, so I like that. And then back here we have a store of tomato paste, which I haven't needed to use because I've had our fresh made tomato paste. I canned some jars, but we've run out of those. I had some in the freezer, we've run out of that. And now we've just got the dehydrated tomato paste that I made. So once that's gone, I'll probably crack open one of these jars in here. Okay, down here is just an assortment of things and probably some stuff that, oh no, I did label it. Look, this is buckwheat flour. So this must be the overflow from what I milled and keep in the kitchen. And then this one here is not labeled, but I believe it is some sort of gluten-free flour. I'll have to use that up very soon. I have a stack of dark chocolate that my kids gave me for Christmas. So this will pretty much see me through till spring, I reckon. I'll eat one little square every 3 days or so. I'm not a big chocolate fan, but dark chocolate is my favorite. We have a Boost bar, which was a present I gave my husband for Christmas because he loves Boost bars. And I've got a Ziploc bag. I need to put that in the Ziploc bag area. We've got some chocolate chips because my eldest daughter wanted to make choc chip cookies for Christmas, but they are the leftovers for another cooking session one day. I've got some dried orange peel. So I've got it in this container here. I should probably pop it in one of my jars and pop it with my herbs. So as you can tell, we need to do a bit of tidying up here. I've got all sorts of bits and pieces down here. I have some of the corn, leftover corn that I grew last year. This is a flour corn, so you can make a flour from it. I have done this and it was lots of fun. We made flatbreads with the flour that I made from the corn. So this is what I have left. This is an assortment of food dyes and sprinkles and stuff that only really come out at Christmas time. I've got some sparklers. I really do need to do a clean up here. Another pack of choc chips, and I think this is cranberries. And then we have a large stack of nori for making sushi with. I think I missed this shelf here. Yes, I did. This is basically our sugar shelf. We've got the condensed milk, which I think my son purchased these. He got way too many for the choc chip bickies that my daughter wanted to make. One of these jars will do, I think, 4 lots of cookies. So we froze some of the jar that she opened to make them. I've got things like coconut sugar and organic raw sugar. I do have some brown sugars here as well, and cacao powder. I've got some blanched almonds all the way back there. And then I made a Christmas cake this year, so I've got a mixed fruit bag for that. What is this? I think this is a flower of some description. I've got a few different types of flowers, and then I've got dates, glazed cherries, and I've got chilies. So they're chili pieces that I dried last year. And then we've got matches, which probably need to go in a different spot so that little children can't reach them. Let's just put them up higher for now. You can tell that my family like HP sauce. I don't have it myself, but it'd probably be a good idea to make our own in the upcoming tomato season. So we've got, my husband's got some of his wine here. I've got my brandy, which I used for the Christmas cake, but I also use for medicinal purposes with the tinctures. And I've got vodka back here, which I also use. There are a lot of cordials here, but that's because it was on special, and my husband has purchased a lot of them because it's good to get when it's on sale. I've got some mushroom soy sauce and tamari sauce as well, and this is where I keep my white wines and oils and such. So I've got some olive oils back there that we get when they're on sale, and some white vinegar and also some apple cider vinegar back there as well. Down on the next shelf, I have some empty containers of the vanilla extract, and I've also got some vanilla extracts in the making. So this is what I also use the vodka for, to make our own vanilla extract with the vanilla pods that we get online. So these ones have been sitting for a while, but they still need to sit for some time. These are some salts that we got given as a gift. I might put those in the kitchen. Okay, we've got tahini behind here and some yeast. We've got ultimate fiber for when we do our cleansers that we do twice a year. And then we have some natural gelatin. This is what I use to make our gummies. So when it's wintertime or going into wintertime and when people are sick, I make gummies. And we've also got some diatomaceous earth back there. And here is some of my husband's rehydrate drink. So he uses this to rehydrate in the hot weather because he's outside a lot. Back there I have some powdered milk, and then I've got my hot chocolate mix, which I love, and everybody else likes the Ovaltine. Well, actually they like Milo as well, but I don't like all of the additives in Milo, so they get Ovaltine instead. Okay, our next shelf is where our honey usually is. So we decant the honey into all of these jars, but they are currently empty. We have one honey jar in use in the kitchen. And then we've got some jams. I recently made some apricot jam to give away as gifts, and this is one that was left over from that. We've got some orange marmalade, which my mum made and gifted us for Christmas. Oh, here's another apricot jam. And then we've got other marmalades. I think my mother-in-law made this lime marmalade. And then we've got some other marmalades and jams behind there as well. We've got some relish that my mum made, and oh, here's another beetroot. I might put this with the other beetroot over here. We have peanut butter. We have jam. So this is another jam that I've made. This is a plum jam. So the kids are currently eating one of those. And then I've also got a apple scrap jelly here as well, which nobody has opened up. So hopefully we will get onto that soon, or I might think of something to make with those. And then of course we've got Marmite as well. Okay, down here we have some tomatoes just in case, you know, we run out of mine, which we are about to. And my husband's purchased these ones. I would prefer the organic ones, but sometimes I don't do the shopping, so we get what we get. And we've got a lot of organic coconut cream. We've got olives, lots of olives. There are 4 jars of olives in there, and we've got some semi-dried tomatoes as well. Okay, back here we have 2 cans of baked beans, just because my youngest really enjoys eating them when there's nothing else to eat. So we've got those for emergency. And then we've got canned pineapple pieces, which my youngest also likes eating by the can. So we've got those there too. And then we've got tuna. This is the tuna that I prefer to purchase. This is Safcol, and we get it in the olive oil. And as you can see, we've got many cans of it. And down the very bottom here, this bottom shelf is where I keep all my clean, new plastic bags for using for the freezer. I've got baking paper. I have these which go in the Fowler Vacola dehydrator I have. So this is what I used for the tomato paste that I popped in the dehydrator and dried last year. And these are the mesh ones, just so little things don't fall through. And I've got these junket tablets, which I purchased for something, some recipe, but I've forgotten what it is now. And I've got this as well, which I have not used. And then there's some Ziploc bags that I inherited from my grandparents when they cleared out their kitchen. Okay, so this section in here has a lot of canned goods, just some emergency things and sort of backups for other areas of the pantry. So I've got lots and lots of legumes in cans up here. We prefer to do our own, but I've got them just in case. more pineapple up here and more tomatoes back here as well. We've got tomatoes over here too, so some big cans. And these are all of the bottles that I'm currently using. So apple cider vinegar, although this one isn't being used right now. And we've got all the sauces and vinegars back here that are being used at the moment. And now we're finally getting to my home preserved veggies and fruit. This is actually something my mum made. So it's like stewed loquats or loquats, depending on how you pronounce it. Then we have green tomato pickles. Well, there is a lot of this relish, a huge amount. We also have another relish of my mum's. So that one we should put in use soon as well. And I've got some empty jars here, but I'll show you in a moment where I keep most of my empty jars. And this is our last apple chutney. So this is the favorite out of the chutneys and relishes. Everybody loves the apple chutney. And because we grow a lot of apples on our farm here, I make a lot of apple chutney. And this is why this hasn't been the favorite. So we've been working through this one first, but we should open some of this because I'm sure everyone's going to love it. And back here I have 2 tomato soups left. So I've got 2 of those in there. And here I've got some pickled zucchinis. So I'm not sure what to do with these. If you have any suggestions on what to do with these, maybe just eat them with salads and stuff. Just eat them as they are. And then we've got my very favorite pickled zucchini and capsicum. I think it's got onion in there too. I love this. It's so yummy. And here's another one. So they're slightly different. Then I've got some pickled radish. So I haven't opened this and I need to open it. It needs to be consumed. So we're probably going to open this soon and have it with salads and things. And there's more green tomato relish back there. Then we've got this beetroot that my mum processed, and here is a beetroot, my last beetroot that I processed last year. So this is the white variety, and that's why it's not red. Okay, now up here I have a spare Thermomix bowl, and this one is used for my tallow balm that I make. So I keep that one separate from the kitchen, so it's not used in the kitchen. I've got a lot of empty jars up here, and oh, I've been looking for this jar of thyme. So I've got 2 jars of thyme that I dried in November. Then I've got this green powder here. So I need to sort out my herb shelf. I actually need to get another shelf or something in here because I need to organize this a bit better and utilize the space. I've got calendula. So this calendula is fantastic for using for balms. So I infuse it, but I also use this for tea as well. And then we've got a 10 kilo box of dates and some black tea in a bag there. And down to more home preserved goodies. I've got some mullein that I've dried here, so that needs to go up on my herb shelf eventually when I sort through it. And I have this dandelion flower apple cider vinegar brewing here. I'm not sure that it's worked. I actually opened it up after talking to you about it in another video and saying that it smelt. Well, it did smell a bit that first week that it was sitting in the jar, but now it just smells like vinegar. So I don't know what's going on there. And I've got some pine needles from our Christmas tree in some vinegar here. This is not to eat. This is for using for cleaning. So I will be using that for cleaning. Got 1 jar left of these perfect, beautiful looking pears that I bottled last year. And then I've got all this stewed fruit here. So I've got stewed pears, I've got some plums also that I've bottled, half plums, and I've got some pear halves. I think this is pear. Looks like pear, doesn't look like apple. So I've got pears there. And then I have some stewed plums as well. So I really need to use these stewed fruits. So this will be something that I will aim for, is to finish the rest of the stewed fruits. And because it's darker up here compared to the bottom is because I put some cinnamon on top and it's made it darker. It's perfectly fine. It hasn't gone bad or anything like that. And oh my goodness, I have so many different herbs that I have grown and lots of green powders that I've made. So this is a broccoli powder. So I just put this into meals and then we get the nutrients from a green vegetable in our meals. What's this? This is mint. So I've been drying and processing mint so I can put this into smoothies and that as well, and it will give a nice mint flavor. Mint is very good for, it's cooling, so it's good for summer. I've got all these empty jars here as well. I've got fennel seeds. I have got so many containers of fennel seeds. So there's more jars there, about 3 or 4 more jars of fennel seeds. So I definitely don't need to buy any from the shops for a long time. I've got my chamomile flowers. I've got sage that is quite old actually. And I don't use sage as much in cooking, but let me know what you use it for and perhaps I will give it a go and put it in some more meals. Got lemon verbena. And here is one of my sprouting containers, so I might use this for the mung beans. There's so much up here. Perhaps I'll do another video one day on all the different herbs I have up here and all the ones I've grown and what I use them for. Okay, and this is pretty much the last shelf. So I have got some blue popping corn that I grew last year, and I've got pine needles in these 2 containers here. I've got comfrey in this container here, so I need to process these and put them in something else. I've also got a big bag of rose petals back there and all these containers which I should probably fill up with water, as these are a part of our fire safety kit. And back here I have some pre-mixed gluten-free bread mixes. So I've got all the different flours that I have in my gluten-free mix here. So then all I need to do is put this in a bowl, mix it all together, then add the wet ingredients and chuck it in to the oven. So yeah, it's great to have on hand to already have these mixed up, because that is one hard part about making the gluten-free bread, is milling the flours and having them all ready to go. And then these bags here are just leftovers of some of the flours that I have to use up. Yeah, so that's the honey pot there, and there's more calendula. You've seen the eggs before, I think. Well, this is where I have the eggs anyway. We've got about 5 eggs a day coming in, which is fantastic. And then up here we just have the thermoses and more jars. And this up here in our bathroom laundry area is where we keep all of the jars that we use in our preserving, for our preserving rather. And I've got many, many Fowler's jars, and I love using these jars. They are so wonderful for water bath canning. And then I also have some tomato paste jars that we've kept over the years just for bits and pieces. But sometimes I do process chutneys and jams into these jars as well. And one last lot of them. So I've got 4 cupboards full of the jars. although there are a few other bits and bobs in the bottom shelf. But yeah, nice lot of jars to fill up this upcoming harvest season. Okay, and in here we have these cupboards. So this is our mud room, and we have these really tall cupboards. Very tall. These are called our drying and storing cupboards. So we've only just set these up with a fan at the top. So it's like an exhaust fan. And then at the very bottom of this cupboard, there is a hole and a grate at the bottom so the air can come up through, and then we can store things like potatoes, pumpkins, onions, and even maybe dry some herbs in here. So there are 4 cupboards. One of them's being used for a bit of storage at the moment, and then these 2 have got some items in them. And as you can see at the very back, there is a gap so the air can move through all the shelves. And our plan was to make some sort of mesh shelves as well, so they'd have wood all the way around the outside, and then they'd have mesh on them. And this would mean that the air could flow through all of the shelves, and then we can dry masses of herbs in here. So that's the idea, but it's still in its infancy. But it's been a perfect place to store last year's pumpkins. So these pumpkins are doing really well, and I really have to work through these pumpkins and make way for the next ones, which I'm hopefully going to have another wonderful harvest like I did last year. And here is where we keep all of our bits and bobs that we decant from that pantry. So here's the coconut. I have a container for that. I have all the spices and herbs, and we just refill these with our own oregano and our own basil when we have our own basil. So every now and then I will come into here and refill things, and I've got our own coriander seeds, so I don't purchase any coriander, ground coriander or coriander seeds. We make our own icing sugar if we need that. And I've got my own chili powder, and we've also got a green powder in the use at the moment, and cinnamon. I grind up our own cinnamon. And in the next cupboard, we have all of the seeds and nuts. So I need to fill up the sultanas. We've run out of sultanas there. This one would usually have the cashews in it. It needs a little label. And then we've got the chia seeds. We've got popping corn. Oh yeah, we've got everything in here that we use often. And here's some mung beans. So I need to use up those mung beans. I also need to use up these kidney beans. That's my last lot of kidney beans. And then on the bottom, we've got all the different flours. So all the different gluten-free flours. We've got our rice, our buckwheat, chickpeas, quinoa, and oats. So everything's in here to access daily. I hope you enjoyed that tour of my pantry. I'm sorry that it probably took longer than I expected it to, and I'm looking forward to maybe doing another one after our harvest season when I have canned everything, and then we can see all the different things that I have canned. So I will see you again very soon, friends, for a pantry challenge video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.